How you doing? I'm Mike. I'm a trainer here at the Lake-Sumter State College in the commercial driving program. Today we're going to talk about the pre-trip inspection that we would do on a commercial vehicle. For the first part of our pre-trip inspection, we're actually going to enter the vehicle and go ahead and get started on the in-cab. All right, so first I will start the engine and I will allow pressure to build to the proper 120 to 140 PSI govern cutoff in both the primary and secondary air tanks. My govern cutoff kicked off at approximately 135 PSI. First test I will do is going to be the air leakage rate test. For this test, I will shut off the engine. I will turn the key back to the on position and I will push in both the parking and trailer brake valves. At this point, I will apply pressure to the foot brake, and once the air pressure needles have stabilized in my gauges, I will begin a 1-minute timer, and in that 1 minute I should not lose any more than 4 pounds of pressure in the system. And now I will actually move on to the air warning device test. For this test, I will fan my brakes continuously until the low air warning devices or buzzers should activate before the air pressure drops below 55 PSI. I will continue fanning off the air pressure by applying and releasing the foot brake. The parking and trailer brake valves should both pop out between 20 to 45 PSI. Both of my valves popped out at about 30 PSI, showing that they are working properly. So at this point, I'll restart my engine and I will allow my air pressure to build back up to the 120 to 140 or govern cutoff. So as we're allowing the truck to build pressure back up for the tug test, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start doing the other items. I'm going to start with my door mirrors as well as my hood mirrors. They are all properly secured, they are clean, and they are all adjusted to me. I have my windshield. My windshield is clean with no obstructions or damage such as cracks or flaws to the glass. My windshield wipers are secure, they are not bent or broken, and they are working smoothly. And I would check that my windshield washer fluid sprays properly and is adequately filled. I will now check my lighting indicators. I will check that my left turn signal indicator is working properly. My right turn signal indicator is working properly. My four-way flasher indicator is working properly. And my high beam indicator is working properly. I also want to indicate that both my ABS and my DEF light did show that they were working properly when I started the vehicle. From there, I will move to my heater and defroster, and I will verify that my defroster is working properly, as well as my floor heat is working properly. I will check that my city horn and my highway horn are both working properly. And I would verify that I have spare fuses in my vehicle, as well as under the bunk in the back, I have a fully charged and secured fire extinguisher, as well as 3 red reflective triangles. So now that I've built up my air pressure back to the 120 to 140 range or governor cutoff, I will now perform my parking brake check. The first thing we will do is we will push in the tractor brake and leave the trailer brake out. And we will gently pull against that with the truck in gear to verify that the trailer brake is holding properly. We then switch them and we pull the tractor brake out and push in the trailer brake and do the same process. When we do that, we're verifying that the tractor brake or parking brake is holding properly. Once we have established that, we will push both brakes in and actually move forward at 5 miles an hour to where we would hold the steering wheel loosely, and we will apply that brake to make sure that the truck stops smoothly, and also it does not pull to either the left or the right. All right, now we're gonna start the outside of the vehicle. First thing we're gonna do is start up front. So first I have my lenses. I'm gonna check that all of the lenses on the front of the truck are clean. They're the proper color, they are not broken or missing. And after that, I have to open the hood. I'm going to check my engine oil, and I'm going to, in order to check that, I'm going to remove the dipstick. I'm going to actually wipe it clean, reinsert the dipstick and pull it back out to make sure it's between the minimum and maximum level. I'm going to verify that my coolant system, the coolant reservoir, is between the minimum and maximum fluid level. My power steering fluid reservoir is between the minimum and maximum level. I'm going to check that there are no puddles on the ground under my vehicle, and I'm going to verify that there is no fluids dripping from either the underside of the engine or the transmission. I'm going to check that all of the hoses and air lines under the hood of my truck are not cracked, worn, or leaking. Then I'm going to check that my power steering box is securely mounted and it is not leaking. My power steering hose, all the connections are tight with the proper fittings. It is not cracked, worn, or leaking. All of my steering system, so the shaft and all the parts, are not missing any nuts, bolts, or cotter keys. And all of my connecting links, arms, and rods from the steering box to the inside of the wheel are not worn or cracked, and my joints and the sockets are not loose or worn. I would check that my tire is properly inflated by using a pressure gauge, and I would check that all of my valve stems are accessible. I'm going to check that the tire has no cuts, bumps, or bulges to either the tread or the sidewalls. The valve caps are not missing, and the valve stems right here are not damaged or broken, and I have no mismatched dual tires on my vehicle. I'm going to check that the tread depth on all the grooves containing wear bars are minimum of 4/32 on the front and minimum of 2/32 on the rear, and I would use a tread depth gauge to check that. My rims are not cracked or bent and have no illegal welds. I'm going to check that my studs and bolt holes are not elongated and there are no loose or missing nuts or bolts. My lug nuts are all present. They are not loose, and there are no rust trails or shiny threads to indicate looseness. And I want to check that there are no broken studs. So I'm going to look at my leaf springs, and I'm going to check that I have no missing, shifted, or broken leaves. And my spring mounts are not broken, cracked, and there's no missing parts. My shock absorber is mounted securely. It is not damaged or leaking, and my vehicle is sitting level, both front to back and side to side. My brake hose, I'm going to verify that it can supply air to the brakes and it is not leaking. The hose is not cracked, worn, or frayed, and the fittings are all secure. All right, I want to check that there is no oil, grease, or debris on the brake drums or the linings. Now that we've finished under the hood, we're going to go ahead and inspect the things on the side of the vehicle. I'm going to check that my lenses on the sides of the vehicle and my trailer are proper color. They are clean and not broken or missing. My fenders and my side mirrors are clean. They are not cracked, and the mirror brackets are not bent or broken, and they are mounted securely with no missing parts. check that my battery box and cover are secure. Once I remove the cover, I'm gonna check that my batteries are all secure in the tray. Check that the electrical connections or terminals are tight and have no excess corrosion. And check that the electrical cables and lines are not cracked or worn. Okay, I would check that my DEF tank and my fuel tank are securely mounted. The caps are tight and the tanks and lines are not leaking. I'm going to check that my tractor frame and cross members have no cracks, broken welds, or holes. I would check that the trailer frame and cross members have no cracks, broken welds, or holes in either the cargo area of the trailer or the floor. I would check that my tandem release lever, as well as my pins, are secure. I want to check that the air and electric connectors on the tractor and the air and electric connectors on the trailer are not damaged. They are all seated, sealed, and locked into place. I will then check that my air hoses and electric lines, which is green, are not cut, cracked, chafed, sliced, taped, or worn, and they're not leaking. And I want to check that the air hose lines and electric lines are not crimped, pinched, tangled, or dragging on the catwalk. Okay, at this point, we're going to have to get down and actually go under the vehicle to be able to see up inside the lockjaw. So the locking jaw is fully secured around the kingpin, and there is no play between the kingpin and the locking jaws. The fifth wheel skid plate is securely mounted to the vehicle by the fifth wheel skid plate platform. I would check that there are no cracks, breaks, or excessive wear in the skid plate, and that it is properly greased. Check that the apron is not bent, cracked, or broken, and that the trailer is laying flat on the fifth wheel skid plate and there is no gap. I would check that all parts are properly greased. I would then check that the release arm is in the engaged position and locked into place, and that the sliding fifth wheel locking pins are not damaged and the pins are fully engaged. I would check that my landing gear is fully raised and has no missing parts. My crank handle is secure, and the support frame and landing feet are not damaged. Would check that my fifth wheel is positioned properly so that the tractor frame will clear the landing gear during turns. Check that the reflective tape on the sides and rear of the trailer are present and affixed securely to the vehicle. I would check that all the lenses on the rear of my trailer are clean, they are all the proper color, and they are not broken or missing. All right, thanks for watching. I hope that this video helped you. If you're an existing student here at LSSC, hopefully it'll give you the extra information you might need to get through this process. If you're not currently a student, feel free to reach out to us here at lssc.edu and try to get more information about our commercial driving program.